All right. G'day everybody. Wade Northausen here for Billboard Battalion. Today's our last day in Parliament in Canberra here, and we've been doing interviews with politicians just to see what they know about the international health regulations and all of the things that are happening throughout the country. Many things that are destroying our country, our people, jobs, businesses, industries, and the like. So we've had a really terrific run from One Nation. We talked to Ralph Babette last week. We spoke with Barnaby Joyce from the Nationals earlier this week, and now this is the next group that we're talking to is One Nation. So I've done an interview with Malcolm Roberts yesterday. And I've done interviews with Malcolm Roberts a number of times, and he's been really terrific in availability and just shooting straight. That's what we're looking for, because we're not the mainstream media, and we just shoot straight. That's what we do.
That's all One Nation can do, is shoot straight.
So can I introduce, here we've got Tyron Whitten, who's from Western Australia. He's a One Nation senator from WA. He's just been elected. This is your first foray into the whole deal.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, just I'd like to introduce Tyron there, and if a few bits and pieces you might like to say about yourself to start for everybody to sort of get to know you.
Yeah, thanks, Wade. Yeah, well, born and bred on the east coast of the country at Gosford, but went west when the mining boom was happening. My brother and I had a successful construction business. We built a lot of process facilities for mining operations in coal, gas and iron ore around the country. So worked in every state except for Victoria and Tasmania. And he's bought my shares out and freed me up to pursue something of real importance to help people. So I threw my hat in the ring, and yeah, here I am.
And look, well done, because there's millions of commentators around Australia.
Yep.
But what we need is people to actually get involved and get engaged and have a crack. And I mean, this is one of the things that that we're trying to do, with all these interviews with politicians and that, particularly about the international health regulations and the One Health policy, which is what we're about at this particular stage. Like, we do the big picture stuff, worldwide, global politics,
yep,
and how it's all connected. But we wanted to focus on the IHRs. But we've found that, not a lot of the politicians are across the international health regulations.
Yep.
And they talk about certain things. So I'm more than happy to facilitate whatever our pollies want to talk about at the minute, just to sort of get the conversation going.
Yeah.
Because, like a conversation you and I had just before, it's so important to engage the people in politics.
Yep. Yeah, lots of people don't understand how politics actually works. So many people through the campaign said, where are your preferences going? Well, you say it ad nauseum. They're not our preferences, they're your preferences. It's where you write the number. That's where your preference goes. We put in our how to vote, how we would like them to go, because we understand how the preference system works, but they're not our preferences. They are the individual's preferences, and it's where you number it. And that's the honest truth of the whole thing.
So, Tyron, do you think you're going to fit in around here? Like, you just said things that sort of are common sense, right? So you can't do that. You can't be common sense, just normal, and do the right thing for the people and our country. You can't do that, mate. You've got to understand, that's not on.
Look, mate, I come from the real world, and this place is not normal, okay? Nothing that happens here.
Yes.
Everywhere I turn, there's someone ready to wipe my ass, and that's just not normal. It's politicians are looked after, but they live in fantasy land. Their next goal is 3 years' time.
Yep.
I don't care for that at all. If I don't get elected next time, I don't care. I'm financially okay. I've got life left in me to do what I want to do. I'm here to do good for the people, and if that gets me re-elected, you beauty. And if it doesn't, not worried at all.
Well, I do remember years and years ago that I bumped into the old vice principal of the high school where I went few years later, and anyway, I bumped into him in the supermarket, and he said to me, "Well, Wade," he said, "I never, ever, ever thought I would say this." He said, "But we need school teachers like you."
Yep.
And I thought, I never thought I'd hear you say that either, Pat. And I said to him, my teaching career would probably be fairly short, but it'd be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, look, I mean, I don't know much about teaching. I do know that teachers these days have to put up with so much. I mean, back in my day, if I did the wrong thing, you'd be getting 6 cuts of the cane. Like, you learnt respect and discipline and those sorts of things. They were taught to you. These days, the poor teachers have to put up with so much. You know, there's plenty of good teachers, but the system we've put them into doesn't allow them to flourish and teach the kids what society needs them to learn.
oh, well, I mean, I wasn't planning on going to the teachers and that, the schools and that, but seeing as how we're here, the school system is a disaster. It's catastrophic. I mean, they're just indoctrinating kids to be useless, confused, bent in the head, no loyalties, no structure, no anything. But I must say, this morning when we were trying to get in the front door here to meet with you, we were standing there. The next minute they walked up with about 10,000 school kids.
Yep.
And anyway, the security Sheila said to me, we're going to have to let them in because they're booked in. And anyway, she said they've been booked in for 2 years.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're coming in. It's a never-ending story of these kids. Anyway, so they get there, and one of the school teachers said, "Okay, boys and girls, you have to fit single file." And she turned around and said to me, she said, "Oh, look, thanks very much for your patience, you know." And I said, "Well, thanks very much for calling them boys and girls."
Yep.
I mean, how good does it get?
Yeah.
And we, I can say, when I was a young bloke, I never ever thought that would be a thing.
Neither did I. No. Look, there's male, there's female, and then there's mental illness.
Yep.
Like, if you want to wear a dress, that's fine. I don't care, but they can't keep saying that. Hey, kids, that's normal. Well, no, it's not. You're going to be a boy or you're going to be a girl, and parents that are promoting this, I think that's child abuse.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, like kids get run off in all. I thought I was going to be a space ranger or something when I was a kid. Like, it's fantasy. It's not reality, and it's okay to think those things. But parents that go along with it and say, "Oh, of course you can be a space ranger." Well, no, I can't. No, I was born a male, and here I am.
Well, I mean, you hear these reports, and I don't know if they're right or not, but they seem to be backed up. That you've got kids in schools who think they're cats and stuff, and they have some litter tray. I mean, that's where you want to bring out the old strap and go, "Well, we're going to fix." Like I constantly say at a lot of the presentations I do. I can remember in 1979, if I'd have come home and said to my old man, "Listen, Dad, I'm a cat now."
Feline.
Yep. It would have been a case of, right, pull off the belt.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would have been 60 seconds of mental adjustment, and you would have been cured.
Yeah.
That's the end of being a cat, and they would have gone in and seen school teachers, sort them out.
Yep.
So the world's gone. It's in big trouble.
Crazy at every level. Yeah, and I think it starts at the kids. There's no discipline. They have no fear. They get away with anything and everything. There's very few kids that are taught discipline and all the values that we were taught as kids. And that's where society's gone wrong, I believe. To say that smacking a child is child abuse, well, if you don't know the difference between giving a kid a smack and child abuse, you probably shouldn't have kids.
Yes.
Because there is a huge chasm. And it doesn't take very many smacks when they're little, and they're not even, it's more about, it hurts their feelings that they've done the wrong thing, they've let mum and dad down. You're not bashing your kid around the room, it's not like that at all. But that little bit of discipline teaches them a bit of respect, a bit of fear, and all the other good things that society needs, because we are lacking so many values these days.
Well, and not to harp on them at all, but the downside of having kids that are out of control and run the joint is you got parents who are trying to mentally and emotionally deal with that crap. Now, I remember we were in the supermarket in Echuca there one day, and I had 5 kids in there, and anyway, there was a couple of shillers down there, and their kids there pulling stuff down off the racks, and they're saying, "Oh, please, Johnny, don't wreck the place." And Johnny's there then throwing a tantrum, and all this. And she said to me, "There's these women standing there," and they said, "Are these your kids?" "Yes." "Well, how do you do that? How do I do what?" "Well, they've got 5 of them there. They're bringing up the trolley, putting the groceries out. Some of them packing them, and they're not arguing and fighting. They're not wanting everything. How do you do that?" I said, "Well, how don't you, mate? It's just called discipline. You know, you've got a riot going on here, and you know, you're almost in tears because little Johnny's wrecking the joint. Give him we could sort that out pretty hard and fast. So, but it is great to have somebody normal here in this joint because we've done a bit in the last couple of weeks since we've been here, and we've watched a fair bit happening in the upper house and lower house, and I've seen so many Labor new politicians and existing ones. They get up there and they make their speeches, and they crap on about everything they're doing. They're looking after kids. They want to have housing. They want people to have jobs and all this other BS. So they're on drugs or something. I'm not sure. I mean, not literally. It's just work it out with you. But no, honestly, I'm sure. But you know, they get there and they talk their crap as if it's fairy tale stuff, and then the policies that they vote on are obliterating real Australians' jobs, lives, houses. Them putting them out on the street. They've got no clue. I don't know if they're stupid or they're so indoctrinated, or they get them into the party room, bash them around the head and body. I don't know, but they're not in reality.
If you're on that side of politics, you do as you're told. There's only one person making the decisions, and that's the Prime Minister. And everybody below him is doing as they are told.
Yep, exactly.
So, we won't do deals with the Greens before the election. That's all they do all day, every day in that place. It's disgusting that the backroom deals that get done for people's ideologies and political agendas. They think it's a magic pudding of money. They just keep saying, "Oh, we're going to pay for this," and 20% off the hex. That's good for you. Someone has to pay for that, and if it's not going to be you in the future, it'll be your children. It's not free money. It doesn't come from nowhere. It's being borrowed from somewhere. We've got no money. So don't live in fantasy land that the government loves you and got this magic pudding of money and paying down your HEC step by 20%. You're just putting the debt onto somebody else. I'm happy to have a discussion about education and how it's costed and all that sort of thing, but the universities have got to play some part in that. The way it works is you do a degree, the university gets paid, and the taxpayer is on the hook for that debt. Now, there's something not right there.
There's a lot not right on me to tell you.
So, it's a bigger discussion. Like every discussion, there's nuances to it. There's all sorts of ways of looking at it, and there's so much more to the discussion. To simply say, take 20% off HEC debts, great for students, that's not the whole story. So,
no. And these things all together create a disaster, and this is what Billboard Battalion constantly talks about, is the big picture stuff. And I'm not sure if you're across the likes of the World Economic Forum, the United Nations and the World Health Organisation, but you said before, the Labor Party takes their orders from the Prime Minister, so the Prime Minister takes their orders from the World Economic Forum and the UN. That's how this works. That's why we're stuffed. And this is the sort of things that we're here to say is people need to understand where this is coming from, and if they don't, they will be completely wiped out. So that's what the IHRs are all about, the International Health Regulations, is this mob here, and Butler, Mark Butler, Penny Wong, the likes of Albanese, they have all just signed our country over, lock, stock and barrel, to the World Health Organisation. They've just given them the power to take complete control of our country. So you might, I'm not sure if you have an opinion on that just yet. I mean, I realise you
I have an opinion on it. Look, go back to COVID. Politicians didn't have to get the jab. So it's easy for them to sign it over. Because if anything goes on in the future, they're fine. Nothing will stop them. You know, they were exposed in every country around the world, everybody, they're all having parties and living without masks and doing all the wrong things and getting caught. To what consequence? There was zero consequence for them.
And just to add to that, we see all the footage now of you'll have a whole heap of politicians in masks doing a thing, and the minute it's over, they'll rip them off and they'll all laughing and mucking around. So
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think that's important to mention.
Absolutely. It was a farce, and I think there's so many Australians that have woken up to that reality that, you know, the whole safe and effective. I think everybody knows somebody that has been impacted by taking the alleged vaccination, because I didn't get vaccinated, and I encouraged all my family not to. Some did, some didn't. But you know, we lost an uncle to a medical episode that, you know, it's not officially linked to it, but I'm suspicious of it, and I feel sorry for anybody that had to line up and get that bloody thing in their arm, and that didn't want to. You know, the government can come out and say all they like. Oh, we didn't make you do it. Well, no, but you let the company say, well, unless you do it, you're going to lose your job. If you lose your job, you're losing your house. You're probably losing your wife and kids, and you know the number of people that might have committed suicide. That whole era is just a stain on Australian society, and I really wish people would start standing up and fighting for our rights again, because if we sit back and just keep marching to the cliff, we'll keep going over it.
And they say, oh yes, it's all good, you know, we get told all the time, you know, oh Wade, you're just spreading fear. Well, mate, we're just telling the truth, and if the truth frightens people, then it's supposed to. I mean, what point do you have a warning? You know, we see warning signs all over the road, all over the TV, all over weather events, and etc. Like in a work site, there's how knows so many signs of safety and warnings of what could happen, etc., etc. And I mean, now we're seeing in the international courts, they're starting to say, well, the doctors are the ones responsible. Yep. The government, they got these brain dead, half-wit, stupid, moronic doctors. That's not trying to put too fine a point on it. And they went out and they gave them all these shots. They made money doing it. They made a lot of money giving people the death shot. Yeah. And now the international court say, no, you people are the ones holding the baby. You doctors are the ones who did this. You're responsible for the injuries and deaths. Yeah. And the doctor's going, well, what'd you say? Yeah. So, you know.
Look, it's telling with the medical professionals that have come out post all this on our side. You know, Dr. Karen Phelps was the head of the AMA.
Yep.
Her and her partner got vaccine injured.
Yes.
You know, they would have been all for it at the start, but they quickly against it when it affected them. Dr. Nick, I think he was the second in charge. You know, the one was always on telly with a nice hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
He's come out against it. You know, Brett Sutton, who was in Victoria you know where he is now. He's with the CSIRO, tied up with Bill Gates and his the mosquitoes are releasing in Queensland for the malaria. Like, when have we ever had malaria in Australia? That's
well, and I think that's a very, very good point, Tyron, is that a lot of these bureaucrats, they have to be seen by the corrupt lord and masters. They have to be seen to follow orders and sell out whoever they have to, yep. And then they get some cushy job somewhere. These people are what I call professional board jumpers. Yep. That's their whole thing. They just jump from, and I know plenty of these people. They're only scumbags. You know, they jump from one board to another.
There should be a law against it. Being here or being in a position of power and then ending up back in the free world for the people you're meant to have oversight over. That's well, anyone can see through it. It's so corrupt.
So I think for the likes of Coates and you know, all these people, these bureaucrats have pushed it. they shouldn't have an opportunity to have jobs there because they should be spending the rest of their life in jail for murdering people.
Yep.
Not trying to put too fine a point on it,
Yep.
but that is what happened.
Yep.
So now, what we need to do, and a part of why we're talking police here, a part of what we need to do is to get the people to understand what's happened. And we need to not be saying, you know, you lot, you know, you were getting stuck into us and this was happening and that was happening. We need to say, okay, the Australian people needs to have a mass awakening. And this is where we rely on people such as yourself to say, okay, this is where we need to go. They're going to bring back jabs. They've built a factory in Melbourne to create these poisons. Jacinta Allen is, she's just dribbling over it, you know what I mean? So we need to work together to say to the people of Australia, this is what they're going to do to you. Yep. They're bringing this back. This is what the international health regulations are all about. Yep. So whether you've had the jab, whether you haven't, like we've had plenty of people come to Billboard Battalion meetings and say, look, I'm not sure if I would be welcome here because I've had 2 jabs or I've had, you know, whatever. So mate, everybody's welcome here. We need to form up together to fight back and make sure this doesn't happen again. Yeah. You know, and
look, my dad used to tell me when I was younger, believe nothing that you hear and only half of what you see. I always encourage my children, just because an adult says something, this is when they're at school, it doesn't mean it's true. You have a right to question everything. That's how you'll learn. People don't always tell the truth. So all you would encourage Australians to do is just do some of your own research. Like I know that was not popular back when COVID was happening. Don't do your own research, but do some research. Open your eyes a little bit. Be open to the possibility that what you're reading could be true.
Well, yeah, and as you said, question things, but our schools and our parents have to make kids aware that you must learn. You know, don't just be indoctrinated. Yep. Like you talk to half of these school kids these days, and they go, "Oh yes, climate change is going to kill us," you know, and you go, "Mate, look, here's the deal, right?" But we were down in here yesterday, and you know, a bunch of poor school kids were having a bit of a indoctrination session. Oh, that's my thoughts. I'll say that's my opinion, Helen Haynes. I had an opinion. You know.
You're allowed to.
Well, only just. It's touch and go at these days. So anyway, they were talking to her, and I thought, well, so if we know some of our politicians, let's just say some of our independence politicians, mate, they're full of crap. They're all on board with this climate change garbage, this you've got to go and get vaccinated crap. They should be, in my opinion, given a fair trial and then sent to jail. Yeah. Because the damage that these politicians are doing, that's why we're here, is to start cracking some of this stuff open. Like we said, you know, we ran into Bob Catter yesterday, and Robbie, his young bloke there, they were there, it looked like some miners, had a bit of a quick chat. So we're seeing Mount Isa, you know, it could be on the rocks. Now, Mount Isa is iconic in Australia, yep. But the miners there, the miners in the coal industry, they need to understand that, you know, they just blindly follow the Labor Party, just blindly. They do not think at all. And they just go, yes, 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 we must vote for the Labor Party. That's what the union bosses said. Well, here's a tip. The Labor Party's policies are the ones who are blowing up your jobs. For God's sake, get at least half a brain, all right? Do the calculations. You are indoctrinated to go and just blindly vote for the Labor Party without even thinking about anything. So here's the deal. If Mount Isa gets shut down, then the people in the other mining sectors, whether it's coal or gold or whatever, they're going to have a massive influx of experienced, skilled miners who are now looking for a new job. Yep. So they're going to be competing against you for your jobs. And the Labor Party laugh at you. I see them come in here and do all their speeches. Oh, we'd like to thank the union for this and the union of that. And mate, they couldn't give a stuff about you. You are cannon fodder. You are the what do they call them? The idiots, the useless idiots. So what I say to the people in the the labour forces, have a look at what we're talking about. The World Economic Forum, their policies on net zero, right? They're not coming from the Labor Party here. They're coming from overseas to wipe out your jobs, your lives, and your income, to damage your families. That's what they're about. And can I just say that back in Victoria, when we were fighting against the North-South pipeline, which was to take water from farmers,
Yep.
I was the media contact for Plug the Pipe, and I got a lot of union workers who work in the food factories and the industries in Vic, and they said to me, if you farmers lose your water, and then you can't milk cows, grow tomatoes, grow vegetables, fruit and all the rest of it, and you can't send that into the processing factories, we lose our jobs. I said, yes you do. And I said, what's the AMWU doing for you? So I went to Melbourne and I met with these AMWU scumbags,
Yeah.
and they couldn't care less about their jobs. They would not help us at all. No. They threw them under the bus. Yeah. So I want people to understand that your unions, mate, they don't represent you. They're just suck jobs for the Labor Party. Their job is to keep you corralled into the paddock, into the kill chute, to continually be some blind support for the Labor Party. That's all they're for. So, the coal industry, I think, is in big trouble.
The coal industry is in, massive trouble. And, well, the coal workers, I mean, they are just, like you said, cannon fodder for the Labor Party and their net zero fantasy. And people don't understand about the two different types of coal, the thermal coal and the coking coal. Thermal coal makes electricity, coking coal makes steel. We need steel to build your stupid towers to hold the windmills up. Where's that going to come from? So it's just fantasy land, and the bottom line is they don't care about the people.
Absolutely.
They care about getting voted in next time.
Absolutely.
Full stop.
Yes, that is it.
They've got a 3-year vision, and they put out a narrative. They say it often enough that people start thinking it's truth. And like I said before, believe nothing that you hear and only half of what you see, because there's lots of good stories out there. But I don't know. I grew up on a creek on the Central Coast, and the water level hasn't changed. I don't know. It still gets hot there, still gets cold there. We still have floods, droughts, all the things we had growing up. There's hurricanes, nothing has really changed. And you could say over a long period of time, the climate's changed. Well, it's always done that.
Yep.
And Professor Plimer, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yes, it is.
If you want to learn about the climate, have a listen to some of his stuff. He says it the best. What I want to know is, what temperature should the planet be? What's our ideal temperature? Can anyone tell us that? Are we there, or could it be a little bit warmer and things would be better? Could it be a little bit colder and things would be better? What I do know, if it gets too cold and we don't have enough carbon dioxide in the air, that will kill the bulk of the planet. Another ice age would be devastating for people, and they don't get that.
And this is it. The people who are making statements about things, say for example CO2. As a farmer, I'm here to tell you, we need CO2. If you haven't got CO2, then things die. Nothing lives, because it's what they call plant food. For all these half-wits in these universities and these politicians and all these other dropkicks, at the end of the day, they need CO2 for food, and
they give us back oxygen.
What a great deal!
I don't know. It's almost like it was meant to be.
How does this happen? I don't know. Maybe Elbow did it.
Who knows? I can't put my finger on where it is, but yeah.
So, and I mean, they talk about the science of climate change. So, and a lot of these people who are now ideologically, they're helpless to this stuff. They'll say, oh, well, the science says, and the 97% of scientists, blah, blah, and all that sort of crap. So I was saying, hang on. I can remember in the 1990s, our esteemed Tim Flannery, God, Tim Flannery, the guru of science on climate change here in Australia. They made him the head of some climate mob of wankers. I don't know who it was, but they made him the head of that. So he was telling us back in the 1990s that if we don't stop global warming, at the time it was global warming, if we don't stop that, by 2000 the polar ice caps will be melted. Now, Tim, mate, I know you probably think you're halfway smart and all these other people follow you and listen to your crap, but the point is, the polar ice caps, as far as I'm aware, are still there, mate. And we haven't seen half of the South Pacific island nations underwater, and we haven't had 20 metres of water indoctrinate, the east coast of the United States. Hasn't happened, mate. Okay, we're still here, and you are a moron.
The Prime Minister bought a house by the sea. I don't know. Famously.
So is this the bloke who's telling us about rising sea levels?
Yeah. Yep.
And he bought. So I remember seeing back in the day some American investment people saying, yes, climate change is crap. The banks are investing in the low-lying land there. They're not going to invest in that if they know in 10 years it's going to be under 20 metres of water. Like, grow a brain, people.
Yeah. How are people getting insurance? It's just, there's so many things that you can look at and go, well, something doesn't make sense.
And look, to tell you the truth, Tyron, we're seeing now that in regard to insurance, people under the climate change modelling, which is what the World Health Policy, the World Health Organisation, and the International Health Regulation is all about, is to say, oh well, now we can't have this section of Australia with people living on it. Now this is very real. This is happening as we speak. There's sections of land now that are being set into zones that they're saying, well, we can't have people living there.
Yeah.
Now, and this is how serious this stuff is. Down home, we've got farmers who are going crook about all the windmills they want to put on their land and the transmission lines. These farmers are putting up a fair old stoush. They're doing a really great job. But what they don't understand is that under these regulations from the WHO, they can just order them out of the region. Yep. They will take over their farm, they will throw them out. And the methods that they will use.
Yep.
You better understand, this is life-threatening. This is your family threatening. This is our population under very, very, very serious threat. Yep. And these people, and it's all written, they tell you what they're doing.
It's outrageous.
But
yeah.
the average Aussie just goes, oh, I don't believe that.
Look, in my home state of Western Australia, they want to put wind turbines in Geograph Bay. Now, Geograph Bay is pristine natural ocean. It's a whale birthing area. It's a whale nursery. All the marine life there is just amazing. When they go and do their sonar testing, mapping the bottom of the ocean for where they're going to put these windmills, it deafens. The sound is that loud, it deafens baby whales and dolphins, and
yep.
That's how they navigate, that's how they get around, that's how they communicate. The deaths that will come out of this, someone's going to have blood on their hands, and I bet you if it happens, nobody will take responsibility for it.
So, I mean, we've gone for a little while now, we're very appreciative of your time, but let's just finish up with a couple of things to say. Where the hell are these stinking greenies? I mean, when you look at what the greenies, you look at old Bob Brown, doing a few bits and pieces up there and up in the Franklin River and getting arrested and whatever. These were the sort of the greenies that I knew of. And now you've got a bunch of scumbag leftist communists who they couldn't give us stuff about the environment. So
no,
what about the Greens? Where are they?
They are missing in action. They're not green anymore. We cut them open, they are red on the inside, communist red. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't know the people I don't know why they call themselves the Greens anymore. They should call themselves the Reds. You know, I care more about the environment than they do. I'm a climate activist, but I'm not crazy. You know, I don't think. You know, I still know what a man and a woman is. These Billy Goats, I don't know.
Puts you in half a chance then at least, doesn't it? But I mean, as farmers, you know, we care for the environment enormously. It's so important to our existence.
You make your life and livelihood out of it. It doesn't. Yeah, look, we could go on. I could talk all day on that one, but
well, we might leave that
so
for another.
Disappointing.
But I'll just close on saying that, you know, as a farmer, if you've got I don't know, this little shrub, and you get it out of the way to do some what have you, they virtually shoot you. You know, the fines and whatever. However, to put these windmills in up in Queensland, in the rainforest areas, they are just dynamiting and bulldozing the top off complete mountain ranges in pristine wilderness.
Yep.
So where are the greenies here?
They've gone in and they've removed the koalas out of one of these places, so they've taken the koalas out. But if any koala was left behind and it gets injured in the felling of trees and that sort of thing, their way to deal with it is blunt force to the back of the head, and it's written in their documentation. So,
yep.
I cannot fathom that. You know, I mean, I remember growing up and the baby furseals. You'd see them on,
yep.
You know,
how they
these
hunt them.
big
Yep.
eyes and fluffy white hair, and next thing they're covered in blood, and the world was outraged.
Yep.
It ended in a second, but here we are killing whales and clubbing koalas to death. What's next?
All right. Well, look, I think that there's a possibility we'll do another bit of a yarn another day.
Absolutely.
You know, so I just really like to say, Tyron, look, congratulations on your winning and becoming a part of the One Nation team, because we certainly need that. You know, our politicians, we need to get rid of half of them straight away and get just decent, normal people in there. And I consider you to be one of those decent, normal people that I'm referring to.
Yep, thank you.
So I think you'll fit really well in the One Nation outfit.
Yep.
Hopefully, you know, got rid of some of the other people to get rid of them. You've got a couple of extra One Nation senators now.
Yep.
So, mate, we're looking very forward to working together as much as we can.
Yeah.
And give this kind of stuff as much airplay and time, because we need the people to engage in what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to be talking about it. We need people to be talking and asking questions. Don't just believe what everyone tells you.
So, well, barring some kind of earthquake or tidal wave hitting the middle of Australia or something, we're back for the next sitting of Parliament.
Yep.
And to build on what we've done here has been just amazing, to meet some really fantastic people, and get that rolling and sort of keep up to speed with what's happening.
Yep.
All right, mate. Well, thank you very much for that. It's been an
mate.
absolute pleasure, and we'll catch up with you next time.